our labs team has been putting effort on these past few months, and this is the result. Rules you can see across downloaders, stealers, remote access trojans, or remote admin tools, however you call it. Backdoors and other bits we couldn't file into any bucket. I wanted to give you a few quick highlights from all this. First off, on the left you see downloaders. You can see some names which we call modern loaders. We have added detections for loaders like Dolphin, Jinx loader, Legion loader. So these are usually early stage payloads. So they kick off the chain before anything more impactful like ransomware or a stealer shows up. And next, something to highlight by looking at this table, the evasive and also memory-only malware, fileless malware. So rules around Emmental, hijack loader, Rosina. So these kind of actually focus on memory-only techniques, as well as process injection, the checking the RAM and stuff. And they are kind of sandbox aware, EDR aware. And also, we are trying to lift visibility on that fileless stuff that usually slips through. So here, again, applying YARA scan in the memory dumps in our sandbox helps a lot. And there is, of course, credential stealers. How can we, have the party without them? So we know we have up-to-date coverage for Atomic Stealer. That's one we mentioned before. And StrelaStealer, we'll talk more about this, and Dark Cloud and others. We talked about Atomic Stealer, as you may remember. So, but tuning kind of was needed. It's mostly about keeping the detection fresh and up to date. And if you are into manual, for example, malware analysis, probably this can take some load from you and more trust in automated sandboxing. So that's kind of the goal. And a bonus point while we're here, cross-platform malware is part of the picture. So SparkRAT, for example, is one of the examples, and we will move on now. It was kind of a quick pass, quick overview. Since we just mentioned, SparkRAT and cross-platform malware, I would like to zoom in on this one. It's an open source tool released on GitHub, and what makes it stand out that it supports all three major platforms: Windows, macOS, and Linux. So it's kind of flexible for the during an attack. It's kind of something that attackers want, and it is being seen in a few campaigns. But one use case, especially worth highlighting, is where it was used as a post-exploitation tool by ransomware actors, and they were gonna exploit. They exploited a JetBrains vulnerability. I mean, if you're into vulnerability world, I'm sure you heard about this one. This was critical, and it's actually listed in the Q catalog of CISA in the US. And if you are curious about infrastructure, there's a great write-up by the folks at Hunt.io that dives into the C2 setup. I'm dropping the link here, so definitely worth a read if you're into the hunting side of things. All right, just to bring it to life, real life a bit, here are a few screenshots from our analysis of a SparkRAT. This one is a Linux sample that we threw into the sandbox. First one, as you can see from VirusTotal, 12 out of 66 detections, so it's not great. This shows kind of how tools like SparkRAT can fly under the radar. Possibly one of the reasons it's being picked up by ransomware operators for post-exploitation, so that's why they use this one. And second screenshot on the right you see is from our sandbox report, clearly flagged as malicious, and you can see the YARA rule kicking in right there. This one is not from memory dump. This one is kind of from a dropped file in a subfolder. And finally, the last one on the right corner, you will see the an IOC from the sample. It's trying to connect to a URL. You can see port map, which is, as you may know, free port forwarding service. So a quick tip coming here, port map IO is often these days abused by rats, especially like SocGholish, for example, as well as here we can see SparkRAT. So if you're not using it in your environment, it's a good candidate to block proactively. So after this tip, we will move on to the next one, which is StrelaStealer. And we now added a dedicated YARA rule for it. So this one has been around for the last 2-3 years, and it's been fairly consistent, stealing email login credentials. Especially it targets the applications like Outlook and Thunderbird, to then exfiltrating them to a C2. It's mostly really shown up in European-focused campaigns, often via spam emails with attachments, that eventually drop a DLL payload. And as of mid last year, it's seen financially motivated actors, especially initial access brokers. They were observed to reuse the stolen emails credentials to spread it further. So it's definitely kind of evolving. And also worth noting here, the research from IBM X-Force, they're tagging this actor as Hive 0145. Highly possible that they are the operator behind it. So it's kind of still active and still adapting. So this YARA rule, I think this one was long overdue. So next up is SocGholish, also known as fake updates. We have now got a new YARA rule. Top of the pyramid, as we mentioned, the pyramid, some hints around known TTPs I'm going to share. This one has been in the wild again for many years, actually 5-6 years, and it's surging according to some up-to-date resources, as you can see on the heat map here. So it's delivered through injected JavaScript. That makes it kind of unique on compromised but legit websites. So the classic but still very impactful drive-by style infection. Someone clicks a link in an email, or it can be in a website, legit looking website. So the browser loads the page and JavaScript runs and off it goes. There are also cases where users are tricked into downloading a zip file, which contains a loader script. So it's kind of combining social engineering with some web-based tricks, some SEO, for example, heavy campaigns. And another thing to note, that it's been linked to the ransomware group, active ransomware group Ransom Hub. So it's often used as a way, again, for further payloads like Cobalt Strike, for example, or ransomware at the end.